Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear learners. I welcome you to English Grade 7 video lessons. This is your instructor Zia Hamid. I hope that you're doing well and you're having a great time. So, my dear learners, as you know that we are dealing with our unit number 1 of Grade 7. It's called The Last Sermons of Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this will be this is our lecture number 3B with the competency of reading and critical thinking. So now let's explore our students' learning outcome, break it down and understand that what we are going to learn in this lesson. So my dear learners, the SLO or students' learning outcome for today is apply strategies to comprehend questions by marking keywords, verbs and tenses in a variety of literal or textual or factual questions that require interpretation and personal response. My dear learners, this is our students' learning outcome. Let's break it down. So what are we going to do is, since this is about reading, we will be understanding how we can comprehend any text by using different strategies, by applying strategies to comprehend the questions by marking the keywords or verbs and tenses in a variety of texts. So these are the strategies that we will be applying whenever we are reading to comprehend the questions that are put forward to us, so that we can answer them better and in an effective way. So this is our students' learning outcome. We will also be seeing the key terms interpretation and personal response. So let's get started with our lesson. Now here is a vertical linkage with the previous grades SLO. I hope that you have gone through it very well. Now my dear learners, let's storm your brains a little bit. Think about it. What do you understand by the term comprehension? When you hear this word or read this word comprehension, what is the thing that comes in your mind? Pause the video, think about it, give it some time and talk to your fellow or your teacher. Yes. Now let's move forward. My dear learners, we are dealing with reading, read and comprehend. Now let's see what is reading. We all know reading is when we are reading something, but it's also about learning to read, is about listening and understanding, as well as working out as printed on the page. Through hearing stories, children are exposed to a wide range of words. This helps them build their own vocabulary and improve their understanding when they listen, which is vital as they start to read. So this is the importance of learning to read and how it is very important for students, for children. Now let's move forward after understanding that why reading is very important and how much important it is to grasp the reading skills. We have some reading strategies. By learning and applying these strategies, you can find out so many things and you can understand the questions that are put forward. Now, reading strategies, in order for students to be successful while reading, they must employ reading comprehension strategies before, during and after reading. We read fiction and non-fiction texts. So the reading strategies are all about when you grasp these strategies, you will be able to get most out of the comprehension, most out of the text that you are reading. So we read, as you know, both fiction and non-fiction texts. It is applied to both these kind of texts. Now let's see what these strategies are. Now first, here let's define fiction. You already know the written works that are usually fiction are stories, dramas, poems, or anything that is fiction that does not belong to reality. It is fictionalized. So this is what is fiction. And now non-fiction are the type of texts that are realistic, having facts and factual statements. So writing based on facts or realistic events is called non-fiction. For example, memoirs, biographies, autobiographies, essays, articles, all these are examples of non-fiction texts. Now, my dear learners, let's go through the strategies. So we can comprehend questions from variety of texts by, let's see, marking keywords, number one, verbs and tenses. So these are the three different strategies that we are going to learn first and then employ in our text, in our reading and the total understanding. Now let's get started with marking the keywords. We know that keywords are the important words of any written text, any piece of literature. So keywords in the sermon, in the lesson that we read, include equality, justice, compassion, sanctity, and fairness. These words highlight the main themes and values that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was imparting to his followers. Let's take for example, the word equality is critical as it underscores the message that all humans are equal, regardless of race or status. Now, as we see, we have read the lesson very carefully and thoroughly. We can find all these keywords that are mentioned here. So keywords are the words that define actually the main idea. Now, verbs and tenses. Let's talk about verbs and tenses. We are going to employ these techniques, these strategies in our comprehension. So let's see what are verbs and tenses. The sermon uses various verbs to convey instructions and teachings. For example, verbs like prohibit, respect, and beware are used in the present tense, indicating ongoing instructions and universal principles. The phrase I have conveyed in the past tense emphasizes the completion of the Prophet's mission and the fulfillment of his duty. So this is why verbs and tenses, marking them when we are trying to read something, to answer questions, we look for the keywords, the verbs used, and the kind of verbs, and also the tenses that are used. So we have seen some examples from our text, like these words are the verbs. It shows that these verbs are important. It is the part of the main idea, the main message that Prophet ﷺ tried to convey. And also some tenses, like here he used both present, past tenses. It shows the importance of the message or the overall understanding. So that's why we mark these tenses and verbs. Now let's talk about questions may require interpretation or personal response. So when we are posed with some questions, we know that we are going to either interpret something or give our personal response, our informed personal response as the answer of the question that is asked. So now let's begin. Let's see what is interpretation. So interpretation is the process of explaining and understanding something. It means figuring out the meaning of information, text, data, or experiences. So when we read something and we understood it better and in a good way, then we try to interpret it in our own way. We will be seeing the process of explaining and understanding something. It means figuring out the meaning of information. So what do we understand by this? Our interpretation will show that how much our understanding is relevant to the main lesson or the message that is written in the text. So now what is a personal response? Let's see. A personal response is your own reaction to something you've read, seen, or experienced. It includes your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about the subject. So when we read something, when we hear or see something, we have our own perception, our own opinion and ideas, and how we perceive the information. And the way we perceive the information, then we will also convey it through our answers. So that will be our personal response to any question. When you are reading the text, then you have to answer the questions. This is how you give your personal response. It can include your ideas, your opinions, and your feelings and thoughts. Now, we are here with our lesson. This is from your page number 4, Reading and Critical Thinking. Let's read it together. This is our pre-reading questions. Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's farewell Hajj to Makkah is one of the most historical events in the minds of Muslims, for it was the first and last Hajj performed by Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. During this Hajj, the Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam delivered his last sermon. Do you know about the last sermon of Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Now, my dear learners, before reading, as you know that we always go for a pre-reading prompt or question. This is for our lesson. Ponder upon it, and then we can move forward and begin reading our lesson. So on page 4, Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam delivered a sermon during the Hajj, which came to be known as his final sermon. His final sermon was not only a reminder to his followers, but also an important warning. The final sermon confirms the completion of Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's mission. The final sermon was delivered during the Hajj of the year 6th CE on the 9th day of Zulhijjah in the Urana Valley of Mount Arafat in Makkah. There were countless Muslims present with the Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam during his last Hajj. We also have a while reading question for you. Why was the last sermon delivered? So you can answer it with your own understanding and your personal response. So after praising and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, O people, lend me an attentive ear, for I know not whether after this year I shall ever be amongst you again. Therefore, listen to what I am saying to you very carefully and take these words to those who could not be here today. O people, just as you regard this month, this day, and the city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim as a sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Hurt no one so that no one may hurt you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Rabb and that He will indeed reckon your deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden you to take usury or interest. Therefore, all interest obligations shall henceforth be waived. Your capital, however, is yours to keep. You will neither inflict nor suffer any iniquity. Allah has judged that there shall be no interest and that all the interest due to Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Nabi Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's uncle, shall henceforth be waived. Beware of Satan for the safety of your religion. He has lost all hope that he will ever be able to lead you astray in big things, so beware of following him in small things. O people, it is true that you have certain rights with regard to your women, but they also have rights over you. Remember that you have taken them as your wives only under the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with his permission. If they abide by your right, then the right to be fed and clothed in kindness belongs to them. Do treat your women well and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers, and it is your right that they do not make friends with anyone of whom you do not approve, as well as never to be sinful. O people, listen to me in earnest. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, perform your 5 daily prayers, fast during Ramadan and offer zakat, perform Hajj if you can afford it. Feed your slaves with such food as you eat yourselves and clothe them with such clothes as you wear yourselves. If they commit a fault you find hard to forgive, let them go away and do not treat them harshly. All humankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab holds no superiority over a non-Arab, nor does a non-Arab hold any superiority over an Arab. A white person holds no superiority over a black person, nor does a black person holds any superiority over a white person. None have superiority over another, except by piety and good action. Learn that every Muslim is a brother to every other Muslim, and that the Muslims constitute one brotherhood. Nothing should be legitimate to a Muslim which belongs to a fellow Muslim unless it was given freely and willingly. Do not, therefore, do injustice to yourselves. Remember, one day you will appear before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and answer for your deeds. So beware, do not stray from the path of righteousness after I am gone. O people, no prophet or apostle will come after me, and no new faith will be born. Reason well, therefore, O people, and understand words which I convey to you. I leave behind me 2 things, the Quran and my example, the Sunnah. And if you follow these, you will never go astray. All those who listen to me shall pass on my words to others, and those to others again, and may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. Towards the end of his sallallahu alaihi wasallam sermon, the Nabi Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, O people, have I faithfully delivered unto you my message? A powerful murmur of assent, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, arose from thousands of Hujjaj, and the vibrant words Allahumma na'am rolled like thunder throughout the valley. The Nabi Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his forefinger and said, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bear witness that I have conveyed your message to your people. So this is from Sahih Muslim 12:18. We have read our lesson. This is some words from the glossary, meanings of difficult words. We have sermon, sacred, and Hajj. So now, my dear learners, now that we have read the whole lesson together, can you answer all the questions that are posed to you right after the lesson? You can employ your interpretation, your personal response, and by finding keywords, tenses, and verbs, you can easily comprehend the whole lesson and answer the and response to the text efficiently. This was our simulation video. You can watch it anytime, and then you can learn more about responding to a text effectively. So for our classroom activity from page 6, we have question A, read the text and answer the following questions. So these are the questions that after reading the lesson you can answer easily. Now, my dear learners, here are some more questions in the form of MCQs. We have a worksheet attached for your help in the resources. They are easily accessible in the description of the video. Now, for homework, we have next questions, question 4, 5, and an analytical question which says, why is usury prohibited in Islam? So now we are at the end of our lesson. We have some interesting resources for your help and your understanding. Worksheet, presentation, a lesson plan, question bank, and a skill sheet. All these things are attached. I hope that you had great time learning about the strategies of reading and comprehending, so that you can answer the questions, you can comprehend the lesson and then answer the questions effectively. We saw strategies like marking keywords, understanding and effectively seeing the tenses and the verbs. Now, using all these three strategies, you can employ them to any text and you can find really good answers to respond. So this is all for today. I'll see you in the next lesson. Allah Hafiz.